By Tuesday morning, the government says the first Canadians will be getting the coveted COVID-19 vaccine. 30,000 doses, good for 15,000 people. That'll be rolled out and distributed by the provinces. And 249,000 are coming in December. All this has undermined the criticism from the opposition, who have complained for weeks that Canada is, quote, at the back of the vaccine line. But the Conservative leader Erin O'Toole, who's now been in the job for 111 days, has also criticized the government for not having a plan for the pandemic. But then he went on a popular Quebec TV show and admitted he'd support most of the programs the government's already rolled out in the last 10 months. So what would his plan be? And how is he trying to reshape the Conservative Party? To find out, we're joined now by the leader of the official opposition, Erin O'Toole. Mr. O'Toole, a pleasure to have you here. Happy holidays. Glad to see you healthy, and I hope your family's well.
Thank you, Evan. Same wishes to you and all your viewers.
This week, the vaccine will be rolled out. As you know, it's a big day. Has the early arrival of the Pfizer vaccine and the early approval, the third in the world, undermined your longtime criticism that Canada was, quote, back of the vaccine line?
This is a great first step, Evan. I'm happy about it. And in fact, in many ways, I think this is an example of the opposition doing its job. We pushed for faster response on rapid tests. We want a full plan on vaccines. So the early arrival of a number of samples from Pfizer, that should be used by Canada now to test our distribution system. So this is us pushing for more information, for a better response. So I think it's an example of Canadian democracy working.
Okay, and you kept asking, where's the plan? Justin Trudeau has no plan. And admittedly, they were late in rolling out the plan for distribution compared to other countries. But now you've seen the plan being rolled out. Are there details now that you still want, or are your concerns about the vaccine rollout, as the baton is going to be passed to the provinces, kind of alleviated now?
No, there's still a lot of questions. In fact, the government ended up supporting our motion for a full plan by December 16th, so that Canadians have the peace of mind going into the new year that we're going to be ready. The fact the government was being secretive about how many will be arriving by month, do we have the refrigeration to keep the Pfizer vaccine at -70? How will Indigenous communities, how will the North, some rural parts of our country get distribution? There's still a lot of questions.
Trust is a big issue, as you know. Trust in the pandemic response, trust in the medical professionals who are urging people to wear masks or social distance, which you've talked about a lot, but also to take the vaccine when it finally gets more widely available. Your own MP, Derek Sloan, sponsored that petition that's now got tens of thousands of signatures that says the vaccine approval process, quote, bypass safety protocols, falsely said that the, quote, vaccines are not designed to prevent infection or transmission, dismissed it as human experimentation. Are those views welcome in your party? And if not, why have you not taken a stronger position vis-a-vis Mr. Sloan on this?
Well, we learned this week that Mr. Trudeau's half-brother signed the petition. What it's an example of, Evan, is the government's secret sort of approach to this. The fact that Minister Haiju wouldn't ask us if they'd ordered freezers for the vaccine. This adds to uncertainty. I've been asking for months for a vaccine. It's a critical tool. I've said publicly I will be taking it. And I think the reason why there's more questions than ever, people are worried. They get information on social media and other things. So we have to provide that information and clarity. And so I've tried to be very clear. The reason I'm asking for a public plan on vaccines, Evan, is because the Conservative Party, all of us, think it's a critical tool our country needs.
But sir, to be fair, blaming the Liberals for Derek Sloan signing a petition, he's in your caucus. He's not a half-brother of someone. You're talking about an elected official who serves under you. You have a responsibility. Many regard this petition as essentially, quote, anti-vaxxer. You've said that you're someone who's tough, you're a leader, you'll take real positions, you're not afraid to take a tough stance. Here's your shot. What's your message directly to Derek Sloan and those tens of thousands of people who are saying this is not a trustworthy vaccine? You're a public official. What's your message to him and to them?
As it always has been, Evan, the vaccine is a critical tool. It's now been approved by Health Canada, which means it's been clinically peer-reviewed for both health and safety and efficacy. This is a great tool that can help us turn the corner in the process.
Well, it's also about confidence, and he was the guy that came in fourth in the leadership. But let me just move on. The deficit is historically high. You've talked a lot about it. The government spending during this pandemic has been astronomical, and you've criticized the government on this. But you went on that popular Quebec television show, Tout le monde en parle, and you said unequivocally if you were the Prime Minister, you would have been just as generous as the Liberals in doling out COVID-19 benefits. So what programs would you cut to cut the deficit if you had to?
We've been with Canadians that have needed help through the pandemic, Evan. I have said that I would have gotten the wage subsidy right. We've got probably as many as 1 million Canadians displaced out of work because the government got the wage subsidy wrong out of the gate and they pushed the CERB out really quickly. That is why we are going to have higher unemployment. But this is why we also have to get people working, which is why I want to see every cylinder in our engine firing, energy jobs in the West, resource, automotive, and steel and aluminum. Right now, we need Canadians working. We need to build things in this country and be proud of getting people back to work. That's, I think, what the next election will be about, the plan for the future.
Right, but it's I'm just trying to figure out if you can pick a lane. It's one thing to support that and get everybody working in a time of economic and health crisis, and then to complain about the deficit. So let me just be more specific then. Would you be investing to invest in businesses to remain in Canada? I just think of an example like the Ford auto plant in Ontario that the Doug Ford Conservative government in Ontario invested in. Or do you agree with your finance critic, Pierre Poilievre, who wrote, "Easy rule, if a business venture needs a government handout, it's a money loser"? What would you do? Would you invest in things like the Ford plant?
We've got to show that we're open for business for Ford, General Motors, which is coming back to build vehicles in Oshawa, SUVs, Evan. The Trudeau government is showing we're not open for business. They want to triple the carbon tax, for example. We have to send a signal that investment is welcome. Jobs that flow from investment are welcome as well. This is why I'm also reaching out to blue-collar, to union leaders. We need to build up this country.
Okay, so I want to pick up on that, but I'm just clarifying. Would you, as a Conservative, if you were the Prime Minister, would you be open to government supporting, a factory like Ford transitioning to electric cars? Would you give money to that to keep that factory here? Is that an investment a O'Toole government would support?
We want to reduce burdens. So we generally don't pick winners and losers, Evan. In fact, the GM plant will be building trucks and SUVs, not a vehicle that Ottawa picks. Mr. Trudeau is about as far removed from the real economy, the real lives as Canadians as anyone in Ottawa. We need to get burdens of tax and the carbon tax out of the way. That's why businesses are leaving. That's why we've lost $160 billion of investment in Canada before the pandemic, because Mr. Trudeau has made us less competitive.
All right, we're going to take a short break.